Hi, guys. Welcome back. You just ate a huge meal with your family at a restaurant. You had the best server ever. You want to tip him huge. But then after that, you go to get some ice cream. They didn't do anything special. And all of a sudden, they're asking you for a tip there as well. What do? I think there's a problem with it. And so do a lot of other people. And I'd love to know your thoughts on it down below. Let's check out what people have to say.
Just a little friendly reminder, you are not at all required to tip, like, ever. It's actually pretty insane to me how entitled the service industry has become, expecting a tip from you whenever you buy something from them, thinking that they can get away with bad service or not giving you exactly what you want. And mind you, this is coming from somebody that's generally pretty patient and even tips well for maybe good to average service, but I have a couple of non-negotiables when it comes to service. If I barely see you at all, or you take enough time to where I think that you're wasting my time, then your tip goes down. If the restaurant charges some sort of junk fee or hidden fee that isn't explicitly shown on the menu, your tip goes down, or you're not getting a tip at all. I don't care. Now, of course, you should be treating your service workers with respect, but if you're not getting the minimum service required, you have the power to not give them a tip at all or to give them a minimum tip. You have the power as a consumer, don't forget that, and don't feel required to leave a tip.
So what he says is totally true, and I think if you have awful service, then you probably shouldn't leave a tip at all. But here's just a little tip that I like to give to the waiters and waitresses. I'm the type of guy that if you've got a good personality and you make us feel at least somewhat special, you're going to get a fat tip. But even if you're just average, you're going to get somewhat of a tip from me. But that's at restaurants, and a lot of people feel the way I do. Nobody wants to leave a tip when they go to a fast food joint and they're up at the register.
My son wanted ice cream. It was hot. I said, yeah, we can go for some ice cream. Asked the hubby. He's like, yeah, let's go. Let's walk. So we strapped the kid in the stroller. We walk into town to a cute little ice cream parlor. It's been there for years. We walk in and no one is around. Just a male and a female, probably about high school age, behind the counter. We're looking at the flavors. We finally decide what we want. My son wants a soft serve with rainbow sprinkles. Cool. I wanted just like cookie dough ice cream in a normal little cup, and my husband wanted something else in a cup. All cup items, okay? That's key. So we're all getting that stuff together. I go to pay. Right before I go to pay, I ask the gentleman, do you mind if we can get some lids? Because we're walking, and he almost forgot the sprinkles on my son's soft serve. And maybe he was having a bad day, but he kind of scoffs at it, going, okay. Probably not realizing his reaction in front of the customer. But I said, all right, whatever, it's fine. I go to pay. And of course, what does that little pay kiosk ask? It asks for a tip. I click no. I don't feel that I received stellar service. You forgot.
There's not even much service happening there. He's just scooping your stuff into a cup and maybe putting a sprinkle on. I agree with her. Do you guys agree? In this case, yeah, sure, you can leave a tip if you've got some extra change, but I don't think it should be a kiosk question.
You forgot half the shit, and you scoffed at me when I asked you for extra napkins and lids. So I'm gonna click no.
Cheapo,
You you would have thought that I committed a crime.
right?
This kid just like again with the scoffing and the attitude, to which my husband realized it. He realized the interaction. He goes, "Yo, my man, is there a problem? You seem upset. What's up?" He goes, "No, people just usually like tip, you know." Like he didn't even like feel bad about saying that or nothing. Like I would have been fucking embarrassed, but
Dude, she did his voice so good. People don't really tip. I liked her voice. She's got a good one. Great job. Where do you guys fall on that? My thinking is if they have a cup, right, and it says tips on it and there's a dollar and some change in there and I have, change left over after using cash, you throw it in the cup. No big deal. It helps them out a little bit. But I don't think they should be scoffing if you don't tip.
Okay, so Monday, I order a couple lunches for work. One's
right.
20 people, one's 25 people. Okay?
Ouch.
I text, confirm, they text back, 10-4 rubber ducky, we got it. Two of us leave work to go and get it because they're going to separate places. People are meeting in different areas. And it's not ready. Okay? He's like, I didn't get a text. I pull up the text messages, show him, blah, blah, blah. Okay? They're like, can you wait? We'll get it done. I'm like, 45.
Oh my God, 45 sandwiches. They're there on their lunch break. I already know where this is headed. They're going to be expecting some sort of tip, which Let's break this down. If you didn't get that text like he's claiming, and all of a sudden you're scrambling to make 45 sandwiches as fast as you can, and she's not going to tip, they're pissed. She understandably is going to want probably a discount and definitely not expecting to tip because they didn't even have her order ready. Let's see how this plays out.
5 sandwiches and soup, and okay, whatever, we're fine, we'll wait, right? So we wait.
Okay.
No offer of a drink, no discount, no free lunch while we're sitting there for 45 minutes waiting.
Oh
Nothing,
my God.
okay? And on top of that, they have patrons who are coming in and they're telling the patrons that the holdup is us. Don't tell them the holdup is me, okay? Ordered 4 days ago. 4 days ago when you confirmed, so I don't know what happened, okay? Bill comes to $1,000. It's fine. I used
$1,000 for 45 sandwiches? Does that make any sense to anybody? That doesn't make sense to me.
to serve, okay, as a single mom. So let's get that out in the open, that I used to live working part-time off of my tips, okay? So I totally get tipping. I like tipping. I do tip. I do not tip when my order wasn't even ready when I pre-ordered it. Like, there was a reason that I pre-ordered it. Tip is to ensure prompt service. I didn't get prompt service. I didn't want to tip the 15%, but I was forced to. And it's made me so furious that my non-cooking butt is going to learn how to, because I'm done eating out at restaurants. I never complain about anything. I never say nothing about nothing. I'm easy to get along with. And I tip very well all the time if I get good service. But I'm being forced and I don't like it. And it's crap. And it's crap that we have to do it. And here's the thing. I come from BC, and I know dang well that BC just brought their servers up to the minimum wage. Now, everybody gets a living wage. It doesn't matter. So why am I having to tip? No choice.
So I think if she would have gotten good service, she would have tipped. And and she says here that she always tips and she's a good tipper. Here's the thing I would have done as the business owner. Tell me if you agree or not. I would have said, hey, this woman's buying $1,000 worth of product from me, and I want her to come back, and I've already started off on the wrong foot by not having her order pre-made. I think I would accept no tip in that case. Tell me if you guys agree or disagree. I can see both sides of the story.
Currently a restaurant going viral right now because you guys know when you go to pay and there's like the options to tip and it says no tip at the bottom right, they actually covered that up, and so they're going viral right now. Tipping
Oh,
culture
that's
has got out of
crazy.
control. Understand that tipping is optional, and I believe the order person was ordering takeout. Don't quote me on that though, because it reminded me of the Subway's POS system. Anyway, tipping is optional. Making it mandatory, now we have a problem. Because there's a myriad of reasons why people can't tip. If I'm going to go pick up food from TGI Fridays, I'm not tipping. If I'm going to Subway and I'm just getting a cookie, I'm not tipping. If I did not sit down to eat and I was not serviced, I'm not tipping. Stop.
So he brings up a lot of great points, but let me ask you guys a question about Subway, because we've all eaten there 30 or 40 times in our lives, right? How many times have we been served a sub sandwich that was stale? Every time they're putting meat and stuff in our sandwich, you know as well as I do, they know in advance that that bread is stale as a rock. And for them to still sell it to you and hopefully ask for a tip on top of it, ridiculous. Subway has got to be the absolute worst place where you can get a sandwich. And when you get bread that's stale, you don't even want to taste it anymore. Am I right? Someone's going to be like, I like stale bread, Jesse.
Tipping culture has gotten out of control. The fact that you go to a boutique, you go to just like a normal place that you're shopping or whatever, or a place where they literally didn't even do anything for you, like they just rang up your order and they turn that freaking iPad around and it's like starts at 20% and goes up to like 30%.
That's what I don't like. If you're going to give us the option to tip, put an other button just in case somebody wants to tip as little as $1. You shouldn't have pre-made tipping ranges of 18, 25, and 30%. It's ridiculous
What?
and rude.
Like, if I go to a restaurant, from the moment my bus sits down in that booth, that you are tending to every freaking need that I have, yeah, I'm gonna tip you. And I'm gonna tip you good. I'm a hairstylist, okay? So I get tipping culture to an extent, but excuse me? Companies need to start paying their workers more, and they need to
Amen.
stop putting it on us. We are already financially struggling. Or at least we don't need to be paying that extra 20%. And it takes so many more clicks to go back in and do a custom tip, even if you're going to leave a tip. It's so much harder to not leave a tip. And they do that.
I really like that idea. Let's just put the price of the sandwich or whatever it is you're buying, let's just put it at what it is so that your employees get paid well. I've been to some restaurants, or not restaurants, but stores where some stores accept tips, but then another store that's just like it will actually have a sign that says, "We don't accept tips. We work for our money. We don't need your tip." I've been to places like that. If you've seen stores like that too, let me know.
My recent trip to a dispensary. I hadn't been to one in over a year, mind you, so it had been
Right.
a while. I walked in, did my usual browsing, picked out a few items. Everything was fine until I got to the checkout. The cashier scanned my items, and it was time to pay. And there it was on the screen, the tipping chart. It had the option of tipping 10%, 15%, 20%, or another amount. The last option was I do not wish to tip. Here's the kicker though. The cashier was standing right there watching me make this decision. I felt this weird pressure building up. I mean, he literally just grabbed the items off the shelf and handed them to me. He didn't mix a drink, paint my nails, or deliver my food and groceries. It was a simple transaction. I stood there feeling a bit awkward and uncomfortable. Do I tip and feel a bit resentful about it, or do I click I do not wish to tip? And
They probably don't care. She's talking about, I assume, a pot dispensary, right? The reality is, some of those bud tenders probably do field a lot of questions and probably help people in making their selections. I don't think they necessarily care if an individual doesn't leave a tip, but if you're a bud tender and you know the answer and that you disagree with me that everyone should tip, let me know. Let's hear the rest of what she had to say.
risk the awkwardness. It was one of those moments where, you feel trapped between social expectations and your own discomfort. And
I think the bud is just making her a little paranoid. I think bud tenders are probably some of the coolest people I've ever met.
Here is, and I'm sorry, but I have to agree. I really have to agree. 9 times out of 10, or 10 times out of 10, I go to a coffee shop. First of all, it's like the little subtlety, like, let's flip the tablet over. It's just gonna ask you a couple questions. Okay, it's not their fault, whatever. It just irks me a little bit because it's like you're expecting more out of me when I literally just gave you $10 for a drink, and you expect me on top of that to tip you over something that I have not yet received. It doesn't even happen on sitting down restaurants. You don't just tip before you receive something, a product.
That's what I was talking about earlier. They're asking you to tip before you get your product. And I think that's dangerous because if a person doesn't tip and the person serving them is feeling upset about it, it really puts you behind the eight ball. They could be messing with your food or your drink in a myriad of different ways.
Product or whatever. Like, that is just so, like, it just mind boggles me. And the second thing, I will tip drivers, DoorDash, Uber Eats, whatever. I always tip drivers. Second, I always tip when I'm sitting down, waiter, waitresses, or if the barista, third, if they're going out of the way to give me a cup of water, whatever, yeah, I always tip for those. But if it's hi bye and then you see you later, whatever, you walk out of the door and they talk shit about you, because again, they will talk shit about you. As a person that's been a barista for many years, what you overhear other baristas, they talk shit about you. Yeah, especially if you don't tip. But I told myself that I felt like I needed to people please at this point, and I needed to tip because I didn't want them to be on my bad side. I didn't want to be on their bad side. But I was like, you know what? Maybe the let them theory could come in here, because honestly, at the end of the day, is my money. They are not entitled to it. So if they're going to talk shit about me because of it, then just let them be that way. This could be a good exposure, a little. And learning the fact that other countries don't even require the tip, and how countries like Japan see it as an offense to tip other people. I mean, that's crazy.
I agree with her. It is frustrating. Here's the interesting thing. I try to put myself in the employee's place. If I was the employee, I would hope that people would leave a tip, but I'm also a realist and I know that you shouldn't expect people to leave a tip. If you want a tip, be really cordial and pleasant and you'll get tips. Do you guys agree? Have you ever had service with food that was average, but the server was really a nice guy or really a nice gal, and you found yourself tipping? It really does work. Have a smile, treat people kindly. You'll probably make more tips than you thought possible. And again, I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, just let me have it.
I don't know if y'all could see this, but it says no tip, enjoy your cold food. Now, I had ordered some Popeyes from DoorDash here
Cold
today.
Popeyes.
And normally I put my tip, I don't like to leave tips on the card because I like to know exactly what's being charged to my card with no hidden fees. And it always seems like there's some type of issue when I do that with the card. So I like to leave cash tips. Plus, I'm a waitress, and for me, cash is king. I'd rather have it. So therefore, I leave my money in the mailbox. So when they come up, they can just grab it. But I happened to see the DoorDasher walking through the window. And so I decided to meet her at the door, and let her know that the money that was on the mailbox was for her. So I went to go grab my food, and I noticed that she had this note tacked to the bag. And as soon as she seen me, she tried to take the note off. I'm not sure if she saw the money or what the case may be. But I was like, no, leave that on there. I don't know if that's from Popeyes. I don't know where that's from, whatever. So I grabbed this, and this is what the fuck it said. No tip, enjoy your cold food. So I looked at when my food was supposed to be there, and it looked like there was like a 30-minute time limit of it being off. So I'm wondering, did Popeyes, because they do normally be backed up, did they have my food waiting? Did you have my food waiting? But for you to say cold food, it seems like you were the one that purposely drove around. Or I've been seeing videos where people leave the air conditioner on in their car over people's food, or whatever the case may be. Now,
you know what we're not talking about? I mean, if we were really going to be fair about things, the reason stores started asking for mandatory tips and putting mandatory gratuities on our bills is because there's a good percentage of people that would go to restaurants, get served, spend hundreds of dollars, and not leave any type of tip. It just happened a lot back in the day. So in order to make up for that, and so waiters and waitresses didn't feel burnt out, I think the stores started doing these little gimmicks to force people to tip. But like anything, there's a tipping point.
Now, at the end of the day, I'm a waitress. I do not deserve anybody's money. I get money from people, a tip, because I do an excellent job at what I'm doing. I give great service. But you do not have to tip me. And this is the type of job that I got into. But for these DoorDashers to be running around here, making it seem like we have to give you a tip, that's bullcrap. DoorDash made $9 billion last year in profit. If they wanted to, they would pay you guys more, or you should find another job where you're not reliant on people's tips.
So there's the question I have for you guys at home. When I order Grubhub or DoorDash, there's always this $2 fee that's attached there. And somehow a meal that costs you $10 or $15 when you go drive there all of a sudden costs $23 before you've even added the $4 or $5 tip there. So my question is, why don't they pay people better? Making us pay it on top of the high prices is just foul. Maybe we should all just start ditching these fast food restaurants.
Tip guilt. Tip guilt. That is something I am letting go of immediately. I was a server for years, so I have a special spot in my heart for the service industry, but I'm letting that shit go. Because these servers today are complacent, lazy, entitled. They think they deserve a tip just for existing and coming to your table to take your order. They turn the screen around when you do, order an apple juice. They turn the screen around and expect a 22% tip. Crazy. They don't acknowledge you if they're late to your table. They just act like it's normal. The server we just had, he would disappear in between everything. He bought my check and then disappeared for 10 minutes.
As people get older, they start to become our leaders in the government, right? The young population now, let's say people 30 years of age and younger, they are so naturally rude and callous and expectant, right? They're so kind of spoiled. One of these days, they're going to be leading us. And I'm telling you, they're not going to care if they throw us old people in the trash. Something's wrong with today's young people. I agree with her completely.
Okay, I have to rant for a second. And my luck, this is going to find the wrong side of TikTok.
Yes.
But I'm ranting anyways.
Do
so
it.
I just went and I got a 60-minute massage. It ended up being 44 minutes. and I did a little hot stone upgrade, so I paid for that. And when I went to check out, they asked me if I wanted to tip, and I said yes. And they use this little device, it's called Tippy, and you have to pay a service fee. Like, the customer pays a service fee to use Tippy, but they don't have another way to tip. Like, you can't tip on your credit card. You could tip cash, but if you don't have cash, you're out of luck. You have to use Tippy, or you don't tip and you look like an ass. And so when I go to tip, it has 18, 20, and 22%. And
See, that's ridiculous on an expensive.
18% was $36.
See, that's ridiculous. Who the heck is going to want to tip $36, $48, or $58 or whatever it works out to? That is crazy. But you know what they're thinking? They're thinking, hey, if a person's going to spend $40 for us to put some scalding hot rocks on their back, they can tip.
I'm like, my massage was good. A,
Not
it
that
was
good.
not as long as it should have been. B, I'm a nurse, and the tipping amounts is more than what I make an hour. And you did 44 minutes worth of service. Given you have to clean up whatever, so an hour total. But then you want a tip that's more than what I make in an hour as a nurse.
No wonder Deshaun Watson and Justin Tucker are in so much trouble for their tips. Hey, I hope you guys had a wonderful time watching these videos with me tonight. If you agree or disagree, please let us know down below. Please hit the thumbs up button and please come back again tomorrow. We'll watch some more videos together. I'll see you then.